another episode of Just Be You podcast. I'm so excited, as always, for all my guests. But today, I feel like I have like a really, really, really special guest today. Her name is Michelle, and we met, and just like her story was just inspirational to me. And I was just like, wow, I've got to talk to this lady on a bigger platform so she can share, well, what I think is like a revolutionary idea. And there's a fun twist on taking a business concept, making it personal, and then turning that into a business that I got so hype about. So I just can't wait for you guys to hear from her. So I'm just gonna throw it to her. And Michelle, how are you doing on this fine morning?
Today is a good day. That's my mantra I carry with me. So if I wake up to see another day, I count all things to the universe and say, hey, let's start a new day, fresh start. Let's get it going.
I love it. And it's funny that you say that because my father-in-law always says a good day. He's like, every day above ground is a good day. So I'm blessed. And I'm like, okay, Pop, I feel that. So yes, before already the synergy is here.
Yes.
I love it. So when I initially, approached you about, coming on the show, you had a really awesome idea and a fun take on POSs that I was just like, I like this concept. So can you explain more about your POSs and how you even got in that realm?
Yes. Yes. So with the personal SOPs, it's a spin on SOPs or standard operating procedures that are usually put in place with businesses, brick and mortar, mom and pop, anybody, standard of procedures that you have for everybody to look at, like, okay, I'm supposed to do these tasks, this way to get the job completed. And I just had this random, like, I guess you could say epiphany kind of moment with personal SOPs. It started with paying attention to other online service providers and their experiences over the last couple of years, especially with the pandemic, but mostly with my experience. And the last couple of years lady life has been interesting for me in my little journey, in that the pandemic happened, or right before the pandemic happened, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And I then became even more of a primary caregiver for him than I ever had in my life. He has a unique history with his health. My mom and I always joked he's the man with 9 lives, but that could be for another podcast episode. But then you throw in, like most of us, you throw in, if you're a caregiver like I was, you're a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, you're a stay-at-home mom and you're taking care of your child, or you're working from home, as I was as a sales rep, and you're trying to keep it all together. And part of it was, in my belief, as women, since the dawn of time, it was ingrained in our DNA to take care of the kids, take care of the house, take care of the animals, and way back at that time, take care of the farm, all the things. You fast forward through and you have a job on top of that while you're taking care of everything else, but you forget to take care of yourself. And personal SOPs kind of started to formulate in my brain, and how I was caring for my dad and managing everything in the house. And I started documenting so many things detailed for my dad, and what time he took his medicine, and working with the hospice team, and when his symptoms changed, and just trying to keep that communication. And then when my cousin came to relieve me for a couple of weekends, I was like, okay, you got to give him this at this time. He takes this at this time. He could only eat this. This is how you do it. And it's basically almost like the standard operating procedure. And it kind of formed from that way. And once he passed, I then was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Again, lady life and her awesomeness, curveballs that goes out there. Then I had to pivot a little bit more, and I am just like, okay, how do I do this? I've been trying to start a business. I think I may be onto something. And a lot of people's like, share your story, tell this is awesome. I'm like, okay. And I start telling people about it, personal SOPs, where instead of for your business, it's for yourself. It's a set of procedures that you document for, if you're a caregiver, caring for a friend or a loved one, and how things are supposed to be kept together. When they take their sleep medicine, when do they take their medicine? How do they take their medicine? If they're allergic to something, you document all those things. It also can be turned into childcare. If you're looking for someone to babysit your kid, you want them to know that they're taken care of. This is how you take care of them. And then you can be like, all right, I think they're in good hands. I can walk away and go on a girls' night, go on a date night, because my kid's taken care of. And you list in there if they have allergies, if they can or cannot have certain foods, when do they go to sleep? What's their bedtime routine? I mean, you can really like go in depth with these personal SOPs. And so once I start just randomly throwing it out there, it's been mixed reviews in the way that, oh, this is something I've been doing this whole time, but I never thought about putting it in that form. Right. Or, oh my God, this is brilliant. Do you have anything to help me put one together? And it's like, at the time, not yet, but give me a moment. And then I came out just last year with the personal SOPs playbook, where it tells you what the personal SOP is. It tells you the benefits, having your support system, your family, your friends that can step in on. For me, over the weekend, I had major chronic fatigue. So the husband stepped in more than he normally does already, and was just like, okay, where do I begin? All right, this is what you do. This is how you do it. And then, do what you can, but this is everything you need to do. And it's the blueprint of trying to help, your loved one out. And it kind of took off from there, and it's been awesome. It's been a fun ride so far.
I love it. And one correction, sorry, I called it a POS. I don't know why I was thinking about point of sale. I meant to say standard operating systems, but
Same.
Yes.
No worries.
My bad, I goofed on that.
No worries, no worries.
But how easy was it to like implement it into your house? Was there like excitement around it, or was it a little bit perceived like, oh, you're telling me I don't know how to do that? Because initially, when I was just thinking about it, I was like, oh, what if, like, could somebody find it offensive? I mean, I'm sure they could in this offensive world that we live in today, but just like in a practical sense, how was it received at first?
Fantastic question. It's a combination of things. It's one, me learning to ask for help. So as I mentioned before, where it's ingrained in a woman to do all of the things, how you're a household operations manager, essentially. Mm-hmm. You know how the house is ran. Yeah. You know when to do the dishes, or how often the dishes should be done. You know when the garbage is being picked up on a weekly basis. If you have street sweeping in your area, when it's okay, we got to move the cars, because you know how things go. And it's a matter of stopping yourself from, no, I can do it. It's okay. I got this. And learning they're wanting to help you, accept the help. And on the other side, learning to accept the help and not critique them that they're doing it wrong, because it's not maybe exactly how you have it laid out, but it's relieving some of that pressure and that stress, that overwhelm, that anxiety that builds up from you managing the house all the time, taking care of, like I said, the kids, the house, your spouse, your business. You've got all of these things on your plate. And if someone's willing to just be like, hey, how can I help you today? Oh, good. This is how you can help me. But on the flip side, you also have to get to that point where I can't go and burn both ends of the candle anymore.
Yeah.
I need to ask for help. Ooh, this is how I can ask for help. And it's, putting your pride in your pocket and, and just asking for help. And I do struggle still with it with my husband. And as most of us, yeah. Dishes, for example, you have a particular way of putting the dishes in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And you could sit there and you don't want to be like a micromanager, like, no, you're doing that wrong. You got to put it And I was at first, and he was getting frustrated. And he was just like, okay, do you want me to help you? Do you not want me to help you? And it's like, you're absolutely right. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to shut up. But it was a slow process because I did find myself going back behind him and rearranging. And it's like, okay, you're asking for this help because you want breathing room in your day. And yet you're putting the stress back onto yourself because you're not allowing this person to help you. It may not be perfect, but and put it out there. Now, the only time you will want it to be perfect is, again, if you're putting it out there for caregiving for somebody or for your child and the babysitter stepping in, you hope that they follow what you have to a T because that is your child, as most of us go through that nervous trying to find a childcare provider or babysitter. But there's always going to be push and pull with almost anything, but it's a matter of working together and working with person, working within yourself and your own hesitations and getting past that and just saying, hey, this person's taking the time out of their day when they don't have to, and they're helping me with something. And it's just, thank you. And you sit there and you deal with it and you take it because that's 5 minutes, 30 minutes, out of your day that you could do towards something else. Or if it's in a case of similar to me, you could sit and relax and try to recharge and try to recover from whatever's, you're feeling for that day.
Yeah. No, I definitely love that. And I like just hearing about it now, I'm just thinking about all the times where like me and my husband, like it was just like some conflict or friction over like the laundry or the dishes. And I'm like, dang, I could have really used that personal SOP at the time. Because like that was one of his hiccups about helping me with the laundry. Because apparently I made a comment along the way about when he did the laundry, it didn't smell as laundry as I like because I have like an obsession over fabric softener. And I was just like, seriously? In my mind, it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, well, that's kind of dumb. But, just having the conversation with you now, I was just like, okay, I can see, why he may have felt the other way. And I was like, yeah, I definitely could have used that then. And after I downloaded it for myself, I'm like, I'm definitely going to implement this now. And then my other side of the question was, not that I even asked you the first one, but this is just me thinking in my mind. Sorry,
no worries.
Sometimes I get into a conversation in my head and I have to verbalize it. But while I was looking at it and just thinking as thinking about life as a whole, I was like, I wonder if you can use this like towards specific like relationships or in like situations where, let's say, grief, for an instance, because I know that's something that I definitely dealt with. And just from feedback from others, people sometimes they weren't sure how to approach me on things. So I was like, I wonder if something like this could be helpful in a situation of like grief to kind of explain the kinds of help that you want at that time or that you need. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts were. Or have you tried it in that situation?
I have not, and that is a brilliant idea. I love that. I have had people come to me and think of in terms not quite like that. I was in a conversation where another service provider had one of her clients unexpectedly pass away. Yeah. And I know it was such a crazy thing to hear, and I'm sure crazy for her to experience. And because she was in her client's business on a daily basis, she knew passwords, she knew how things ran, but it was her other people on her team within her client's company, like, okay, how do we do this? Where do we go from here? Or even the family members that are now like, okay, we have to start closing things down or figuring out how we move forward with the business. How do we do this? Where do we go for this? How do we access this? And I go, that's, great for a personal SOP in that regard too. And it makes you think outside of the box even more in that, heaven forbid something happens, but let's say, there's an emergency moment where I am not here or no longer with us. How does my husband know to change if he wants to cancel a certain service that we've had or check on a certain service? He doesn't have the login. He doesn't know the password. I have all of that. And so it's like, okay, crap, I think I need to put a personal SOP together for that, for, emergency purposes. If he needs to go pay a bill, he needs to learn how to pay these bills or where to go to pay the bills. Like he knows it's automatic. We have a joint house account just for our house bills,
Right.
but once the money's dumped in there, it's automatically taken out, but he doesn't know how to go in and log in. And on top of that, he will need access to my email because if you have the two password verification or two verification code, you're going to log in. Okay, we just emailed you this code. He's going to need access to that. It's like, oh, so you can take it in any direction. I was kind of randomly Googling some things on, other ways to do it. And I think something came up to as simple as meal planning, how you want a meal plan, how you want to, and you can have it for yourself as well, like a self-care one. What are my plans for self-care today? If I want to choose to do it today, and you can list out everything so you can hold yourself accountable for self-care and making sure you go through yourself and do it as a checklist kind of thing. Nothing for the personal SOP. It doesn't have to be as formal as a business SOP.
Yeah.
It could be as detailed or as brief as you want it to be, as simple. But as long as you have the steps in there, especially if someone else is coming behind you to follow those steps that you have, then you may want to get a little bit more detailed. But if it's something for yourself and you want to have something kind of somewhat set in stone to hold yourself accountable, then you can, put the things that are necessary in there. But you can really, my biggest three categories for the personal SOP is household, childcare, and caregiving. But you can take it at any direct, and there's subcategories within those main, categories for personal SOP.
No, I love it. Hey, I mean, if you guys want to get organized in your household, this is definitely something that you should totally explore, because I know I've been exploring it for myself, and clearly it's worked for Michelle. So what are some of the biggest transformations you've or your clients have reported back to you by using the personal SOPs, because you are a personal growth coach. So what kind of transformations have they shared with you that they're excited about?
I love it to where most are saying that just the relief. And it's a lot of simple things that they haven't had before that they have now. And it's just breathing room in their day, where some they don't necessarily have to focus on or have to, try and figure out how to cram in their day, where they can, connect with somebody saying, hey, today, can you help me with this? Because I'm doing all of these things today. And then you just give them the playbook and they can follow the playbook. And it's just, like I said, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on whatever it is, or just tell them, hey, can you block out 30 minutes and get as much of this done for me just today? Great. And it's one less thing that you have to stress about, because with taking care of everything, you have anxiety, you have overwhelm, you're frustrated. When am I going to get a break? When am I going to be able to add self-care back into my life? And if you find that breathing room, you can start actually intentionally scheduling it in to your day and to your week. And then your mental health, your physical health will start to get better and start to, perk up from there. And it's only up from there.
No, I hear that. So like in your description, it kind of sounds like you can kind of also use this as like a form of self-care. Would you agree there?
Yes. Yes. It's a way. My goal with the personal SOPs and even with the personal growth consulting is trying to find ways to ease some of the burdens or the weight on the shoulders that comes with mental health, that comes with physical health. And now that I'm in the community of chronic illness warriors and I'm learning that side of it, I'm only 1 year in, but I'm learning that side of it more and more. And it's just like, okay, how do we get just a little bit of independence for you back in your day where you're not stressed on how you can take care of and manage all of these things while you have a day where you just don't feel like it because a flare up is happening. Yeah. So it's trying to find a way to get you back your hobbies, add a hobby back into your life, find something new to do, plan that girls' night, plan that date night, knowing that everything will be taken care of, or get to that point in your day and just like, you know what? That's a tomorrow problem. I don't feel like dealing with it tomorrow. And you know how to schedule your day and go about, your time to where it's not just adding the weight onto your shoulders.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, I know you said you've only been, exploring this aspect for like a year now, but I commend you because I feel like that was, you jumped leaps and bounds, because I'm just seeing like how it can be accessible to so many different people in so many different spaces. Like just hearing you talk, I'm like, oh, I've got to tell like so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so about this. Like I thought about like 5 people that I'm like, oh yeah, y'all need to know about this because y'all be telling me how crazy your life is. Here you go. Thank Michelle later.
Yep.
So I really love how it's like really easy and just, well, at least it seems to be really implementable in anyone's household, no matter, what's going on. And I just love how that you have like that easy touch aspect. So go you, keep doing it. You're killing them.
I try, and I have my little sister in my brain. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay.
Yes, and you're not trying, you're doing. Because I'm taking that word out of my own vocabulary. We're not, once you're doing it and you've taken an action, you're no longer trying, you're doing it.
Yep.
But that's just me and my own little world. So how big do you see this personal SOP going? Like, what's the ultimate vision?
Oh my gosh. I would love to create like a template shop, whether it be a part of my website or Etsy shop, but creating the different categories so that way people can just get the template and just, okay, great. This is the foundation's laid out. I just need to fill it in. Mm-hmm. And they can save it digitally. They can save it, physically. I still have, part of the idea, my sister-in-law, they have a vacation home that families can like, okay, I want it this weekend, but they have a binder, old school binder with the sheet protectors and pages in there. And that's part of how the personal SOP spawned too, was just like, this is where you throw away the garbage. This is how you're supposed to remove the sheets, put it in the wash. So that way the next person comes in, everything is ready. And, it's little things like that. So if you're a person where you need the physical touch of paper or something in your hand to kind of follow through, print it out, or if you're a digital person where, okay, I got my phone up. Okay, this is going to tell me, okay, I'm at this step. Okay. And go from there. So I would love to make it as accessible as possible, make it as big as possible, take it as far as I can go. So
I hear that. And with your energy, I believe that's totally possible.
I'm trying. I just, hey, today's a good day. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I love the positivity. I live for it. I really, really do. So what has been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned out of like all of this, in combination with working with your clients and just like your day-to-day activity that you're like, I didn't know that I was capable of doing X, Y, and Z, but I'm sure I can do it now.
Yes. That's probably right on the nose thought process of it. It's like, okay, how do I, because part of it, honestly, I came up with the idea before really fully implementing it into my own household. Like my cheat for the beginning was I took 2 little cardstock. I think they were 4x5 cardstocks from my daughter, stole a couple of markers, and on one I put clean, on the other dirty, took a magnet and stuck it on the outside of my dishwasher. And it's just like, okay, this is going to help everybody know when it's clean, when it's dirty. If you see that it's dirty and I haven't had a chance to empty it, then or turn it on and clean it, then you can come behind me and say, oh, she forgot to do it. Let me help her out and clean it.
Yeah.
That was just a simple step concept. And so to see it progress the way it has, it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm on to something. This is great. I can help people. That's what I love and I flourish on. And yeah, it kind of gives me the energy that I need to kind of keep going, keep the business going. I'm on to something. I can still help people. It's going great. And try and piggyback off of there, see if I could find something else that'll, keep it going.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I really do love it. It's a very functional tool. Like I'm just so stuck on that part. Like it's so
I know,
functional.
simple, yet it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it's like we think about, like I just think about, the stuff that I was doing at work, and it was kind of like similar things. Like there was a dental assistant, and we had tags labeled when things needed to run, or when things were done and needed to be put away, and there was just like signs and labels like all over the place, so that we can kind of run like and be fluid and like with ease and not have to think about it. And you don't, well, at least initially, you don't think how you can take something as simple like that for work and bring it to your home so you can have the same fluidity, and everyone, run smoothly and feel good and be like, oh, I did, X, Y, and Z. So I love that transition. So that is just so dope. So guys, like,
Yeah.
use what's ever happening around you, for your greatness. Cause like Michelle just took a really simple concept and just made it into something huge.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Again, this, I'm trying to become more simple with life. If that's the best way I could form the words together, of course.
Yeah.
But it really is. It's one of those things. Once I got diagnosed with the chronic illness, you go through the emotions like, why me? What's going on? I just, I thought maybe it was because of the stress of handling, my dad's health and his passing and all the things, but there apparently was underlining the more research I did and more visiting Dr. Google when I shouldn't have. And but it made me really sit down. It's just like, okay, how do you make things simple? You need to sit down. You need to start taking care of yourself. You need to be there and show up for your family. And it's amazing how you have some of these sometimes random but necessary maybe wake up calls that the universe presents to you. And it's a matter of sitting down, listening it, journaling if you need to, your thoughts, everything. And it comes from that. And it's just like, okay, let's make life a little bit simpler. You have to make life a little bit simpler. You have to sit down when your body tells you you're tired or you need a break, or, listen to your body. That's the biggest part of it, and kind of goes from there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, because like once I moved, that was one thing where I was like, okay, I need to slow down and start listening to like my body, because things are happening for a reason and I need to pay attention to it. So great point.
Yes.
And another thing I noticed about you that I thought was like really, really fun and I wanted to know more about was that I noticed that you also call yourself a chronicpreneur. Now, is that a fun play on your condition and you like taking power back, or do you really have your hands in like a lot of different things? Tell me more.
Great question. I get that a lot. Actually, there is a couple of forums or communities that I tried to join, again, once being diagnosed. And there's this awesome lady out there. I always butcher her last name. I feel so bad. I believe Kathy Reagan Young. And she's very well known in the MS community. She created a podcast called FUMS. She also has, yes, and she also has a little forum community called Bezzy MS. And I believe in Europe, for America, we say besties, but in Europe, they say Bezzy. So she kind of took a spin on that. But she created a whole nother community called Patients Getting Paid. And she started calling them chronicpreneurs, which is entrepreneurs with a chronic illness. And it's the kind of moniker as mompreneurs, solopreneurs,
Got
all
it.
of the preneurs out there. And so, yes, I kind of through that, I was like, I like that. I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it. I'm a part of this now. I can use it. That
Yeah.
I did have some confusions like, okay, so when you say chronicpreneur, what kind of chronic are you talking? I was like, no, no, no.
Not that chronic.
Not that. I get where you're going. I like it, but no, I'm not that chronic. Not that chronic.
That was hilarious because I didn't even think about that until you said that right
There's,
now. That was like the furthest thing from my mind.
see, and it's a split. It really is a 50-50 split on people just like, I want to ask, but I'm not sure if I'll offend her. So let me just, what is a chronicpreneur? And kind of kept it general question. Or, so wait, what kind of chronic are you dealing in? And how can I get them from you? It's like, whoa, wait a minute.
We went left real quick. Let's come back.
Yes,
Wait, come back.
yes, you went that way. I'm still right here. So let's reel it back in. Hold on. So yes, no, it's fun. Kind of being in a different kind of space with it, but I also try to remember who I was before the chronic illness too. And that kind of ties into what you were saying with the grief earlier. And it's going through the grief of my former self and things that I was capable of doing that I'm not capable of doing anymore or at a very extensive way as before. So diving into this community and diving into everything, it's kind of been awesome, kind of the journey so far.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
you just gotta stay present and then the process, although like I know and I know you've experienced like the process never feels warm and tingly as you're going through it, but there's
Mm-hmm.
always something that's gonna come on the out like at the end of it. And that's the
Yeah.
part that we just need to like focus on, like things will get better on the other side.
Yep.
And just kind of find those spaces in the communities that kind of support those things. Um,
Yes.
so that's important to me and hence why we have this podcast today.
Yes. The biggest part is I've been finding my people like you and other people over the last plus year that's also just like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something,
Yeah.
and go from there. There are people that are interested. There are people that are cheering me on. I'm able to hold conversation with also people like you. It's great. It's great so far. And it helps uplift your spirits, even when you're down, even when you're in your darkest of moments, it helps, lift you up. So keep it going. Keep the fun going.
Absolutely. So what are you doing this summer to have fun?
Woo, this
Because
summer,
everybody's outside. Everybody's
I,
outside in 2023. So what are you doing?
yes, this summer, my goal is to try and do what I wanted to do. But then the pandemic was like, yeah, you put that on hold. So what I wanted to try and do with my daughter, she's 7 years old, and try my best at minimum once a month. My goal is once a week, but I know that's pushing it from me and my health. But my goal would be to mix things up, either go to an amusement park. When I was a kid, my family, because I'm on the West Coast in the Bay Area, there's Highway 1 that literally runs down the coast and you can look over and see the Pacific and it's beautiful. And we used to take those rides all the time. And I want to do those rides like that with my daughter. I want to just go for drives and just actually see outside, see the world, what the world has to offer, go on walks. And because the pandemic, I became I became like, what's the word? An ambivert. I'm an extrovert, as you could tell from my personality. You give me someone to talk to, you just got to tell me to shut up. But when the pandemic came, I was like, yeah, I don't like being around people right now because I don't know what's going to happen with this world and what's going on, but I can't wait to go back out and be around the people and talk again and socialize and have her experience what I experience and go to all the theme parks around or just ride our bikes or go for a walk. Just keep it simple, but find ways to keep it fun. And even if it's just sitting out in my backyard and just enjoying the day, that's what I'm looking forward to for the summer.
Agreed. Just get some fresh air. Just fresh
Yep.
air. And
Yep.
sitting with nature. Because I know I've definitely been doing that a lot lately, just kind of sitting in nature and just like, yay, this is life,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. So where can people connect with you to get more information about your personal SOPs and or possibly work with you?
Yes, well, you can find me on Instagram and on TikTok. Instagram, it's mmvirtualresources. And then on TikTok, it's mmvirtualresources with the number one at the end. Or you can reach me on my website, which is mmvirtualresources.com or resources.com. And that's a way you can book a clarity call with me or a 90-minute strategy call with me. I actually have a flash sale going on with my 90-minute strategy call where $100 is off through the end of March.
Nice.
Using the code PSOP100. And yeah, just looking forward to connect with more people and help bring some breathing room into your day.
Yes, because we all need the breathing room, especially in today's time, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to thank you again for joining me on this episode of Just Be You podcast. Again, this is, what this is here for, just sharing resources, giving people the space to share their story and just, build that community. And although, we may be dealing with whatever we're dealing with, there's always someone you can relate to. And I just thank you again for being here. You're an awesome person.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I just can't wait to see what more, you do and how you flourish and how you grow. I'm totally here. If there's one thing you learned about me is that I'm the biggest cheerleader. So if you just be like, oh, can you just say something nice? I'm always full of it in a good way. Don't know where it comes from half the time, but if there's anything I can do to bring a little, happiness and sunshine to you, I'm always here for it.
Love it. Don't lose that. Keep it.
I'm trying to. No, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And that's it. But guys, I will see you again on the next episode. And if no one's told you today, or if you need a reminder, remember that you are strong, you are worthy, and you are enough. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.